I want to take you all back to my junior year of high school, which on your calendar probably says 2017, not Brad's junior year. But at this point in my life, soccer was my everything. I mean everything. I was playing every single day, training as much as I possibly could, working out every chance that I got. I would go so far as to say that the equation of my life at this point was Brad Biehl equals a soccer player. It's what was consuming all of my time, my energy, my mental capacity was being dedicated almost completely to this game and its surrounding attributes and parts of my life. It was my community in every sense of the word. And at this point in my life, it's also important to note that I was playing at a level that I had never reached before. I was feeling really good about myself as a soccer player. My team back in Columbus, Ohio, where I'm from, we were on this great ascension into the state tournament, feeling really good about our chances, and all this stuff is going on this amazing positive slope. But at the same time, I couldn't deny that something really bad was also going on within inside of me, and that was that my back was in an awful, awful pain every time I was playing. It felt like knives were being stabbed in there, and I was trying to push it away, but eventually I was like, all right, you're an adult. It's time to figure this out. So I was like, I'm going to push through the tournament, not let my team down, but then after I'm going to do what I need to do to get this issue figured out within me. So we went through the tournament, lost before we'd like to, but that's a story for another day. And I took a few weeks off of any activity to see if I would get better. And the knives still continued to stab in my back. And I was like, this isn't fun, so we're gonna go to the doctor and be responsible. So after a day of all my favorite things like MRIs and all that good stuff, the doctor comes out and they're like, Brad, we figured out what's wrong with your back. And I'm like, wonderful, that's why I'm here. And they're like, okay, so you have 2 fractures in your lower back. You've been playing soccer on them now for a year. Because of that, your disc is sliding. So here's the deal. We're gonna go 7 months, walk, sit, stand, period, and then extensive rehab after that. And I'm like, 7 months? Because you see, as I said, the equation to my life was Brad Biehl equaled soccer player. That's who I was. And this was at the height of my college recruiting process and all that stuff too. And all of a sudden, the equation to my life no longer mathematically or logically made sense. I was thrown back into this massive question mark, essentially, that I was living, and all this ambiguity surrounding my day-to-day moment. And all of these questions I was having and this confusion was all around this nuanced question of who are you? Right? It's a little cliche, this identity conversation sometimes, but it was. Everything was rooted in this question of who are you? Because you said you were a soccer player, but you can't play soccer right now, but that's still where you feel like you belong, and I'm just sent back into this crazy state, right? And every day I'm learning a little more about myself. I'm learning tiny things, and I'm struggling like crazy through all of it too, right? It's the hardest thing I've ever been through, but every day I'm making a little bit of progress, and it would just continue to compound, and it was feeling like a little hopeful, but generally it seemed like a lost cause at a lot of times, because I was feeling pretty lost, right? And then one day, about 5 months in, I don't know what it is, but I woke up on this day and I said, wait, I'm not a soccer player. I never have been, and I never will be. Instead, I just play soccer. And I love the look that I get from some of you when I say that, because it's the same look I get every time I tell the story. And you're like, dude, he said the same thing twice and moved the words around a little bit. But I want you to really listen to how I'm saying this, right? Because it really matters. While I play soccer, I myself am not a soccer player. Because see, if you frame it like the second part of that sentence, the way I had been, saying I was a soccer player, and soccer's taken from you unexpectedly, as was the case in my life, I'm now implying that I'm nothing. But I'm sitting there on this day, 5 months into my 7-month recovery, and I'll never forget this. I'm laying on my bed, pinching my hand as hard as I possibly can, going, dude, you're saying that you're nothing because soccer was taken from you, and that's how you define yourself, but you can feel this pain. It hurts really bad. Stop pinching yourself. And I'm like, so you're something. Like, why are you lying to yourself? Stop lying to yourself. And I was like, okay, you're right. Let's continue. Let's follow this down this rabbit hole. Let's see what this means in my life. So then I'm like, hold on. Soccer was this massive part of my life. But what made me love the game so much? What made me good at certain aspects? What made it this overarching factor in my life? And I'm like, wait a sec. I start to step back and I see things. I see my leadership style. I'm like, oh, I can derive that. I see that my positive nature, the way I'm always putting my teammates ahead of myself, I can derive that. Oh, I see the way I listen effectively and I'm able to help provide clarity of purpose. I can drive that. And I'm pulling all of these things out of soccer, this thing that drove my life. I'm pulling them down, deriving them from this equation. And as I'm doing that, I'm noticing they're all in here. Everything I'm pulling out of soccer is in here. That's who I am. Soccer is merely what I was doing in that given season of my life. And in this moment, this massive light bulb went off in my head, and I realized that I need to start contextualizing myself each and every day, understanding the difference between who I am and what I do, so that I can always use the former to maximize the latter in every single season of my life, not just myself as a soccer player. Thanks so much.